I think we're on. Yeah, recording. All right, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we're back. We're here. Just making sure my things working. Volume's good. So, um, camera. There's camera. Yeah, camera right there. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Growin Samoan podcast. I'm your host, Henry Willie, aka DJ Hen, aka Hen Dog. And everybody who knows me, give me your own name. It's cool. It's cool like that. It's fly like that. It's do like that. And it's blah like that. Blah 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 blah. So hello, talo for lava, malo lele, aloha, yorana, bulavinaka, kiorora, kiora. And hello and greetings to all my growing Samoan listeners and viewers. Today is gonna be you know a good episode today. There's a lot of things going on in me and Tala's lives right now as far as family members are concerned. And this podcast is dedicated to family members. So I just want to let all the viewers and everybody know that we appreciate everything that let me fix this camera that you guys do as far as listening to this podcast, supporting it, rating and subscribing to our podcast, subscribing. And if you can, or if you haven't, and if you don't want to, it's fine, it's cool. But if you haven't, yeah, go ahead and leave a review, rate, ask a question, subscribe. You can do that on our iTunes channel, or you can leave a comment on YouTube if you're a YouTube growing Samoan watcher. And with that being said, yeah, I'm just going to dive into it. It's just me today. Again, once again, I was supposed to have my lovely wife, Tala, to uh, where we had some things lined up for our podcast, but unfortunately, unfortunately, gosh, I can't even say that word. Anyways, she had an emergency, and they had to drive down to see her father, um, who was in somewhat in the state of, um, you know, on his in the hospital bed, unconscious and all that. And I know when she gets back, she can explain more. We'll talk more about it. But as Samoan people, we know, and Polynesians and all people around, we know of the trials that happen with people when loved ones are sick and ill. And Tala is not on the podcast today because she's drove down to California. We're here in Washington State to spend time with her father, who is ill from cancer for a few, I think, some 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 time now. It's been a few years, I believe. But he's an older gentleman, and we just got the news. I just got the news this morning as she was driving back from California. She's actually on the road right now that her father did pass away. And when we have my lovely wife back on the phone, I mean, back on the podcast, we can talk more about it because what this podcast is about is all things life, life related, and finances. And I can dig in this podcast a lot about how the financial aspect in our lives have helped us so much. It has helped us so much to the point where we weren't stressed over her being able to take time to go down and spend time with her lovely father and cherish those moments, those last moments. A whole week she got to spend to just be with her family, her loved ones, her dad, to to hold his hand, to talk to him, to cherish all those moments, those last moments in his precious life that you know that she can. And I love our podcast because that is a big major reason why I love to preach finances, because by being financially educated myself, it was it was able to help out my wife without no hesitation, without no worries about finances, to just get up, go, and spend a whole week with her dad and her family down there, because that's what this podcast is about. It's about all things life, and our time here on Earth is limited. Our time here on this planet, on this thing we called Earth, is very, very limited. And you guys know that. We all know that. We all have loved ones that have passed away. And sooner or later, it's going to come down to our time. It's it's more taboo to talk about that. A lot of people don't like discussing that, but it's something that you do have to discuss about and understand, realize that if you're seeing your loved ones pass away, it's going to come to a point where later down the road, or whenever it may be that time, it'll be our time, my time, to leave this world. And I want to know that my children and my loved ones are taken care of. And the way I can do that is by gaining my knowledge in finances and preaching that to my children, so they can preach it to their children's children's and their children's children's, and so on and so on. So that way we can continue to generate wealth for our next generations. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about that before I get into the viewers' comments. I have one comment today I'm going to read. But the main topic of the day is how finances can help you out through times of you know, need or comfort or sorrow. I'll figure out the title, but mainly when you have a family member who's ill or who passes away. And I wish my lovely wife was here so we could talk about it, but I talked with her on the phone, and it's something that we've been talking about for a while. Hence, why the Growin Samoan podcast was created, because to us, the most important thing in our lives is time. Time with our families, time with our parents, our our siblings, our children. Um, that time is very limited on this earth. And if you are working um, the majority of your lifetime until the day you die, all that time you cannot take back. It's gone. Time is something you cannot take back. But if you invest in getting financially educated, there is a lot of time that can be saved later down the road, whether it be a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. After you get financially educated and understand how finances work, you will get more time available to spend with your family, your loved ones. And this is living proof. We're a prime example that before I got financially educated, we had loved ones, family members who had passed and gone on, and it was a struggle. It was heartbreaking. And the number one thing, especially in the Samoan community, the Samoa way, it's so excuse me, hard on families financially, so hard. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. The our our culture is is a beautiful, beautiful culture, but the financial part of it is so difficult, or ugly. Let's say it like that. Our culture is so beautiful, but the financial part of it is so ugly. It's very, very ugly. And there's a lot of frustration and miscommunication with in our own community, the Samoan community I'm talking about, because I'm Samoan. I can't speak for the Hawaiians or Tongans or any other Polynesians out there. I can't do that because I don't know anything about that. I only talk about what I know. In our Samoan cultures, not only do you have your own bills and all that stuff to worry about, but our culture, you know, it's a lot of respect, having a lot of respect, and sometimes having way too much pride that leads to the downfall of our Samoan children, our people as a whole, financially. It's a big, big downfall. If you go on a lot of Samoan social media sites or websites, and there's a lot of talk about whether it's weddings, whether it's funerals, so on, church events or functions. A lot of these things are done within the Samoa way of our culture that depends on a lot of people coming out their pockets, giving money that they really don't have in this day and age in this world because it's all about the Samoa way, the respect. And no, and my podcast is not to disrespect any of my people, my culture. I, I respect everything about our culture, and I love my heritage with all my heart. And I'm just speaking as a Samoan man raised out here in my life and where I come from, the United States. And I can't I can only express the knowledge that I know of my upbringings. The the Fa Samoa way is it's a very very touchy subject, and not to me, but to a lot of people in our community, and it's a very very complicated one when it comes to finances. For me, it's not really that complicated, but I would rather have a Makai that I know. Actually, I do have somebody in mind that I can sit down with, and we can have a podcast about that and talk about the Fasa Moa way and how it you know can help the good and the bad about it in our community. But going back to what's going on in my life, in Tala's life, in our family's life right now, it's been awesome. It's been so good for me, and I know for my wife, from a financial perspective, for her father who just passed away, just got the news this morning, who just passed away last night. And it wasn't a burden on us financially, it wasn't stressful for us financially. And when it's not a burden or stress on us financially, then it lessens up the stress on every aspect in your life, um, mentally, physically, spiritually. It helps out, and that's why I truly believe that learning about finances, talking about money, the good and the bad, being financially educated is a big, big, major part of every one of our lives. We have to do this, people. There's no other way I can put it out there. So I created this podcast to try to reach our community that need to hear this. So to dig more deep into it, 2 years, 2017, a little over 2 years now, because we're going into 2020 in a little bit. So over 2.5 years, I've been, educating myself in all things finances. And while I've been doing that, the financial world also leads into knowledge of the physical world, the mental world, the spiritual world. Everything that you discuss about finances all leads up to every aspect in your life, all avenues, attributes that can help out as a whole in your life. And it has led us up to where we have saved up emergency funds, where we have bought all of our vehicles out, where we have purchased a Prius. I think back in before the summer, I believe. Before the summer, maybe in May. I think in May, and that has helped us out tremendously because with a Prius, I can tell you right now, everybody knows what a Prius is. It's a gas saver. That's all you need to know. A Prius is a gas sipper, a gas saver. It gets up to 55 miles per gallon in our car, 45 to 55, depending on your freeways or highways. I mean, city miles around 55, highways around 45. And that has helped us out tremendously because when we had gotten the word of her dad being ill and in the hospital, without hesitant, we both thought about it and had the same idea of, hey, why don't you just drive the Prius down to California because it's dirt cheap. You just pay for dirt cheap gas to get down there, and we all know how gas is not dirt cheap right now. But when you have a car that that has 45 to 55 miles per gallon in here in the states, um, yeah, you're saving a lot of money. You don't have to worry about airfare. You don't. All you worry about is you can just buy food on the road, or or make some sandwiches, sodas, get your EBT card out, and just swipe away and get your snacks on the road. And all you're paying for gas is for gas. And guess what? That's what happened. The benefit of us being financially educated, um, purchasing a car that we didn't even know, we just knew it's going to be a good investment because we do a lot of traveling, and that car will come in handy. And until the day it falls off its wheels, which will be for a long, long time, because we're just going to keep taking care of that vehicle. That helps you out, people, financially. People always struggle and stress over the number one thing when a family member is ill and they need to go visit or somebody passes away, and that is travel. How much is the airfare? That's the first question. How much is the airfare? Can you look for rates? Do you know anybody who has buddy passes? I need to get down there. Can we fly? And your family, who are already struggling, have to dig into their own pockets and sometimes make loans and use credit cards in a way they don't want to, or ask for money and just become in debt just so they can travel or have somebody travel down, whether it's to a different state or to the islands, back home to see a loved one. And our podcast talks about getting financially educated to where in the future we're going to have travel rewards where you can travel for free and things like that we don't even know about, we've never even heard about. We discuss here on this podcast about, and we're living proof. We got a car that we just knew would be a good investment, all paid for, and it's been a blessing. That vehicle not only took my wife, but it allowed her to take her sister and her nephew that were also up here. So three people that were able to travel to three states, down to California for, I don't know, let's say $100 each way for three people, and that's just for gas. That's all it costs when you have a Prius. And you know who can say that about any airfare or any vehicle? You know, when you're driving a big SUV like the one I'm in right now, I got an SUV too. You're driving down there. I mean, if you're going with three people, you're spending way more than $100 one way. Uh, but with the Prius, it's been a less of a burden on us because it's so The gas is so inexpensive for that travel, and that's just another aspect, the avenue of how financial education can help you out. Investments, how investing in certain things can help you out in your life. Another thing is Falav. I'm not going to dig deep down into that, but with my father-in-law passing away, listen, Samoan people out there, I'm not worried about Falav. I am not. I'm not worried because we have emergency funds. Emergency funds are set aside, have been created for us for emergencies. Now, if you're a Samoan person and you always have, worries about Falav, some people are smart. They put away a Falav fund. But I call our fund the emergency fund. And this fund also goes to Falav. So, as a Samoan man, a Samoan family, we understand our culture and we know how the Samoan way works, and we understand that if you're a Samoan person, you have to make that part of your bills. It's sad, it's true, but true. That's why a lot of us run away from our families because a lot of people are marry out the culture because they just don't want to deal with it financially. It's horrible. Think about that. It's like, dang. It's like, really? It's like our people is chasing. You're chasing away your children when they want to get married to to live in different states, different countries, married to different cultures because they just don't want to deal with the money part. The love is. So I had to learn that because I wasn't I wasn't raised and taught about Falav in my household. My dad was from Samoa, my mom's from Samoa, but I never got a chance to talk to them about finances because they both passed before I became really, really mature in that aspect of my life. But I'm pretty sure when I think about it, they just didn't want to deal with any of that stuff, so they didn't teach us that. My dad, my mom, they didn't teach us any of that. They just lived an American lifestyle, an American life. They still went to church, some Samoan churches, mom and pop's churches, relatives churches here and there. But when it came to falavlaves and all that stuff, my dad did not discuss that with us. It's like they wanted to take us away from all that. And my father was an accountant, so how could you not talk to us about that even when you're an accountant? And I'll talk about that in another podcast. Um, it's just it's crazy because I had to learn through my wife because my wife's family um, is very, very informative and have a whole lot of knowledge of the Samoa way when it comes to Macais, and everything that has to do with the hierarchy of a typical village in Samoa. And I'll ask her on another podcast, and she can explain more and get into detail about that. But for you non-Samoan listeners and viewers, um, if you have your own certain ways and values in your culture that is somewhat similar to what I'm talking about in mine, hey, go ahead and leave a comment. I would love to hear how things work in other cultures too. But this is something that I know that I grew up with. Learning about Fat Love Lavis has been a pain in my heart. It's been just so horrible because I didn't grow up. I never understood. I wasn't raised and embedded in my head that it was automatic to do that. Because the way I was raised by my dad, it was all about numbers. If the numbers are right, the numbers are right. If the numbers are wrong, the numbers are wrong. And to me, the Fasamoa way, when it comes to the numbers, they're wrong. They're so wrong in so many ways, so many levels. And I'll talk about that because that's what I'm all about, finances. There's nothing wrong with my culture, our love for our people, but the numbers are wrong. The numbers are ugly. The numbers are bad. And that's why I'm making this podcast to help out. I'm just here to help out in any way I can. I am not worried about travel. Me and my wife have been financially educated, and we know that travel will happen in uh, uh, in whenever we have to travel down to pay our respects to my father-in-law and to take our whole entire family. We have a family of seven, and I already know that we're just gonna drive down there. Most likely, you gotta save money, people. If you got a car, big car, you can do it. I have a big car. I have an SUV. I've been keeping up on maintenance forever, and it's paid for. Our car is paid for, and you just get a tune-up, or not even a tune-up. You just check the oil, water if you know you don't need a tune-up yet, and you just pay for gas. You travel like that. It takes time, but financially, it works for us. So this is the pretty much the breakdown. Getting financially educated has helped my wife out and my family, me, her, and our kids, to alleviate the stress financially when her father became ill, and she was able to drive down and spend some time with him. And also, three, that we know as being, financially educated and stable now, that we're able to set up everything to we can go and travel down and pay our respects and share our time with um, our family down there, her family, and say goodbye to her father and my father-in-law, and not have to worry about it, being stress-free, because we already have Fala Lave savings put aside in our emergency funds, and we have everything else to cover travel and expenses. Room and board. Oh, we about to stay at the family's house. That's how you gotta do it. Don't be stupid. If you can afford a hotel, and if you don't like your family, and you gotta get that hotel room, yeah, get the hotel room. But maybe we gotta get a hotel room because there might be a whole lot of family. But if you can squeeze in there into a family member's house or a friend's, do that, y'all. Save some money that way. Um, with that being said, when Tala gets back, we'll talk more about it. I think they're probably on the road right now. I'm gonna give her a call. Let's give her a call right now. See where they're at. So I'm calling her right now. Uh, hello, hello. Hey, hon. How you doing? Are you, yeah, are you on the road right now? Yeah, I can hear you a little bit. Um, I'm calling again in the morning. I'm outside by the water doing a lovely podcast, and I just wanted to call you to say I love you. You're on the podcast right now, and I'm gonna call you a little bit after, but I just want to tell you that I love you with all my heart. Okay? Okay. You guys okay? Driving down right now? Where you guys at?
Toledo.
Toledo?
Toledo.
Toledo?
We're 21 miles away from Centralia.
21. Oh, is that in Oregon?
It's my Shemalis.
Oh, you guys are in Washington? Almost home. Hey. Okay.
Yeah, we pushed through. We didn't stop anywhere.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll call you right after. You guys good though? Nico, you good too, sis?
Yeah.
All right. I love you guys. Be safe.
Love you.
All right. Love you guys. Bye. Prayers, prayers, and prayers. A lot of prayers have been said and prayed for um, my father-in-law and our family down there, and for their drive. So, if you're listening to this podcast, please send a prayer our way uh, to Tala, and if you want to leave a comment, that'd be fine too. Let's see where I'm at now. So, at this point in our podcast, I am going to read a comment. All right, let's get into the comments here. So this comment is from, and I tried to just to keep the comments in order. This one was from our YouTube page, and it was from the last my last episode, where I was talking about uh, how to save money while I'm when you're broke. And this comment is from Nas the Great. Nas the Great. Once again, this is your second comment, man. Man, appreciate you. Um, Great info. I like that saying about the human body. Can you share more in detail about the process you went through to accomplish the financial state you're in now? Appreciate you, Oos. I appreciate you too, man. This is your second comment, bro. You're doing good, man. Yeah, whatever you're doing, I'm just thankful that whatever we can do can help you out. So let me answer that question for you. Can I share more in detail about the process I went through to accomplish the financial state I'm in? So, um, a brief summary in detail. If you go to episode two, and I know episode two, it's called For Beginners. It's a breakdown about how we got started, the beginning stages, from starting off in 2017. But right now, I'm gonna give a quick, brief background history of me getting into money and how my upbringing was, and then quickly follow into um, quick details of how I reached my financial state I'm in now. Growing up, my background history, we didn't talk about money. We were poor. We were on welfare, raised in a lot of ghettos in Hawaii, California. Uh, been through the struggles of being poor, and all that stuff that you have to go through living as a lower class citizen. Never talked about money in our household, but being poor and struggling taught me about hard work, of how to really, really, work hard if you need something that it's not handed to you. You have to go out there and work for it. And my father was a prime example because my mother stayed at home, and my father, he worked his butt off throughout his lifetime. So the values of earning a dollar and getting stuff on your own was embedded in me at a very young age. So I became a saver. Hence how I became a saver. The closest thing that I was taught about money was playing the game of Monopoly at a very young age. And that's as far as I got learning about money, all the way until now, till 2017, where I actually understood. But in between then, I was always a saver. I saved money here and there, and I just used it because I was never financially educated, and emergencies happened left and right, and it just depleted all my savings, and it kept happening over and over again, which led up to now. It's 2017 up until now, when I started learning about investing in my money, saving my money, how to not worry about uh, what's keeping up with the Kardashians. Don't keep up with the Kardashians. You'll get fucked up real quick. You try to do that shit. That's all fake, man. All that look people, all that keeping up with the Kardashians bullshit. That's fake. Nobody lives that life. It's just some fake bullshit. There's no such thing as get rich quick. All these people driving fancy cars, all the rap videos where you gotta have fancy clothes and all this stuff. Man, that's our downfall. Keeping up with the Joneses and keeping up with the Kardashians. That's our downfall. You don't have to do any of that shit. I learned that through reading. People who are wealthy, they don't watch TV, they don't read the news, they don't let all that stupid negativity bullshit in their lives. What they do is they read and they listen to people who have made it, people who understand how to get wealth, how to save money, how to invest their money. So, a quick rundown for you, my friend Nas, the Grizzite. Um, I was, yeah, born poor. I became a saver. Go to episode two. It's a breakdown. I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and from there I started paying myself first. I learned that from the book. Pay yourself first. I had all these bills. We were still climbing out of debt, and as I started to pay myself first, I put money aside from my paychecks, savings, whatever I wanted. I believe I said $50. I started, I 50 bucks aside, and then when tax season came around, instead of blowing out your taxes and blowing and go buying a brand new car and go buying all this stupid shit you don't need, look, motherfuckers, people, don't buy that. Stop. Don't keep up with the fucking Kardashians. Use that money to either pay off your debts or invest it. That's all you have to do. Investing is still something that's new, but once you start reading, start educating yourself in investments, whether it be stocks, 401k plans, or index funds within your 401ks, or in real estate, buying rental homes, rental properties, investments in little small things like that stuff you need, whether it be like stuff for your part-time business or anything you like to do on the side that can be a side hustle. These are the things you need to put your money into. That's what we call investing. Not invest in a fucking brand new car that you could just get a used car for like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper, and it's the same fucking thing. Or fancy cars, fancy clothes. When I say don't keep up with the Kardashians, that's what I mean. You know, stay in your lane. That's what my boy Marshawn Lynch said. I just stay in my lane. I'm just here so I don't get fined. So I started paying myself first, my friend Nas the Great, and with that I started accumulating money through my income at work. So I work hard. You have to go to work. There's no bullshitting around. There's no cutting the corners. Everybody, you have to work. But it's all about my favorite saying I love saying is it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend that makes you wealthy. Now, a lot of people say it's not how much you make, it's how much you save that makes you wealthy. Well, to me, it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend. Because spending is the thing that we're so used to. A lot of us aren't used to saving. So when we say save, we're like, yeah, yeah, that sounds cool. But when you say spend, you're like, oh, yeah, I do spend. I just spend too much. I spend way too much. So it's not about how much you make. It's not how much you make at any job, whether it's flipping burgers or being in a major company. It's about how much you spend. Now I'm gonna break that down real quick. If you're at if you're at McDonald's, Burger King, and you're spending and you're making minimum wage and you don't spend nothing, let's just say you're up $10,000 at the end of the year. Good. If you're working at a big time business and you make $200,000 a year, but you spend $250,000 a year, you're $50,000 negative. The guy that works at McDonald's or the person that works at McDonald's is more wealthier than you. Boom, there you go. So, and then I have here, then I started saving. The paying myself first funds led into saving for my investments, which meant that we used that money to get out of debt, to pay off collections and stuff like that, and also to set aside emergency funds, investment funds and emergency funds. Look at what's where it's got us today. These emergency funds have helped us out and of everything I've been talking about in this podcast. So everybody listening right now, um, that's pretty much a quick rundown in detail. If there's certain things like certain questions you want to ask about, because I try to go through everything. Yeah, just ask. Like a certain question, pinpoint it. Then maybe I can get a more broader, a more exact answer for that question. But thank you so much, Nas the Great, for your question and your comment. With that being said, I just want to thank everybody once again for tuning in to another episode of Growing Samoan Podcast. Um, if you haven't already, please, please, please go to our iTunes page and rate, subscribe, leave a review, because the more that people that can subscribe and rate. The higher our podcast can get up on the platform where a lot of people can search and be like, okay, what's this Growing Samoan podcast? Let me check it out. And also the YouTube page. The more subscribers we have on a YouTube page, the more we can get out there. That's my whole goal, is to continue to live our journey and continue for you to help you guys out in any way, aspect, shape or form, any way, shape or form, because um, yeah, man, I just love talking about finances because I know it can help you out. It's helping me out, my family, and hopefully it's helping you out. My number one goal in starting this podcast was to just get to help one person. That's all I wanted to do. As long as I told my wife, as long as I can help one person out in one thing, hey, I feel like I've done something. But if it can grow and grow and it can help more people, and those people can help other people, and so on and so on and so on, and it keeps growing, then you know what? That just makes my heart just, I can't explain it. That's just love. It's just spread the love, y'all. So thank you, everybody, once again for tuning into the Growing Samoan podcast. I'm your boy, Henry Willie, DJ Ham, back again. And the next podcast will be a good one. I'm not sure what's going to happen now. We got to see what's up with the dates and everything, what's going on. But I have some guests lined up, and these podcasts are going to continue to be great, to be awesome. And I just thank you, everybody, once again for tuning in. Um, the health tip for today, as always, is just, remember your loved ones, your family, your family history, your health history in your family. Remember your loved ones who passed away and how they passed away, because you need to take care of yourself, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's diabetes, whether it's heart problems, whether it's obesity, whether it's anything, habits. You need to understand that it might be something that's hereditary in you, and if you have a lot of relatives in your life who have passed away from these certain diseases, then look into it. Educate yourself about it. That's the biggest health tip of the day that I can give out, is to understand that when you have loved ones who pass away, that really dig down deep into how much health really means to us as people. Um, there's saying, one quote before I leave here is, the greatest wealth is health. That's from Virgil, I think. I don't know who the hell Virgil is, but I read that quote. I'm gonna say it once again: your greatest wealth is your health. Your greatest wealth is your health. Now, I believe that. A lot of people, Samoans, your average Samoan, be like, "Well, your greatest wealth is the Lord Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit." What are you talking about? Look, people, we know that already. On a spiritual sense, we know that. But think about it physically, okay? This is physical terms. Your greatest wealth is your health. If you ain't here, then you're not here, you know? Then you can talk about the spiritual world and about, being in heaven with God and the rest of your family. But other than that, that's the health tip for the day, and the health tip and the health quote. I love you guys. Until next time, stay tuned for more Growing Samoan, and yeah, we out. Love you guys. Peace out. And thank you for tuning in once again. Toi fa, soy fua. Look at the view, though.